the day so that I, can just go home and hang out. But I did it last week, and at one point in time, I went upstairs, changed my clothes quickly, came down, and then I just was like, got so hot and so overheated, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I just have to sit down. I just really, and my body's making its blood again, right? So I just have to learn that now, as I am getting older, I have to just give myself more time after giving blood so that I can, recuperate from that. But I'm O positive, so I try to do it like every 8 weeks whenever I can do it. So try to do my part.
Great.
Well, everybody, it's 12:03, so why don't we get started? In case you don't know, my name's Barb Thomas, and I am the president of our club for this year. We're going to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Kelly Drown, who's helping us today, is going to put up a slide for us. You can stand if you like, but you can also sit, and please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing that, Kelly. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly for a few Zoom tips before we get going. Kelly?
Great. Thank you, President Barb. Just a quick reminder to please sign into the chat. That is how we take attendance for our meetings. And also a quick reminder to please use the mute button, especially when our speakers are presenting, as it just takes away all the background noise. And then also, if you have questions after the presentation, or if you have a guest or a visiting Rotarian, please go ahead and go into the participants tab and use the raise your hand feature, and we will certainly give a call on you to introduce your speaker, or if you're a visiting Rotarian, as well as if you are visiting, we'll ask you to unmute your microphone and introduce yourself as well. And then also, when the speaker does start their presentation, right now it's excellent to be in the gallery view, as you can see all the smiling faces, but then you may want to choose the speaker view. That just gives a much closer view of the presentation. And with that, I will turn it back over to President Barb.
Great, thanks so much, Kelly, appreciate that. So now's the time that you're going to get to practice those Zoom skills, okay? So if you are a guest, or if you have a guest that you'd like to introduce, please raise your hand, and then Kelly will call on you so that you can introduce your guest or introduce yourself. And we welcome visiting Rotarians to do the same. So Kelly, back to you.
Okay, it looks like City of Literature, and yes, it is John. So we'll have you have your hand raised if you have a guest.
Great. Yeah, I renamed myself there. Sorry. Yeah, John Kenyon here with the City of Literature. And I wanted to introduce my guest today, who is once again Anna Barker, who is with the University of Iowa and is on the City of Literature board and does a lot of other wonderful things in the community. So welcome, Anna.
And I just finished a Zoom meeting with the University of Iowa Library, so serving books all the time. Here are my 2 big projects for this fall, just working on an exhibition for the library, and I had my first layout meeting, which was so exciting.
Excellent. Well, welcome and thank you both. I have a guest today, and it's Brent Cartsensen, and so would like to welcome him to our meeting. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you, Kelly. It's good to be with everyone again this week.
All right, anyone else? I'm not seeing any other raised hands. All right, well, that must be it.
Great, thanks, and welcome everyone. Glad to have everybody here today. We will move on to announcements. So first I'm going to go to Dave Brown, who has a couple of announcements. Dave?
Thanks, President Barb. We do have a couple of announcements. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. But 2 days after Earth Day on the 24th, that's a Saturday coming up, we're going to have 2 events to celebrate. One is at 9 o'clock, and it's at Court Hill Park. There we'll be planting about 25 young trees. We're going to get a sign-up link going out. You might need to choose between one of two events. We'd like volunteers for both, but the second event is an hour later at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be the Adopt a Highway, same road out on Sand Road, just south of Terry Trueblood Park. But we'll get flyers out and I'll remind everybody again. But if you would RSVP, that would help us plan quite a bit. Thank you.
You bet. Now, Dave, with those two projects, does the tree planting, is that a little more physical, a little harder? The highway cleanup is a little bit more picking up stuff, putting it into a bag?
I would say so. The tree planting, we're going to be digging pretty big holes. We try to dig a hole about 3 times the diameter of the tree we're planting, and we're going back with not huge trees, but good sized trees. So that would be a little bit more involved.
Got it. So that's good to know. And should people, if they want to come to that, should they bring their own shovel, their own work gloves, things like that?
Yeah, I think we have a few. Ryan might chime in on this, but if you have your own, that certainly goes a long way. I know on Adopt a Highway, I bought a few extra gloves I keep in my truck. So if there's about 8 people who show up without gloves, we're covered. But for the rest, it would be helpful if you'd bring some.
Great. Okay, thanks so much, Dave. So again, that is on April 24th. And so the other thing happening on April 24th is that is the same day as our district conference. And so that is actually in the evening. So you can do all of these events, right? You can plant trees, you could run over and pick up some trash. And then in the evening, you could attend the district conference. You can do so both in person as well as virtually. And what our club wants to do to try to encourage people to attend the virtual version of the district conference is that if you sign up for it, it costs $25. And then you send us your receipts, we will reimburse you. We will support up to 20 people attending the virtual district conference on Saturday, April 24th, which is held from 4:30 until 9 p.m. So if you're interested, you can always reach out to me. I can provide you with some more information on that, but we'd like to have a great showing of our club at the district conference. Again, exact same day, April 24th. That's a big day for our club. Next, I'd like to go to Chris Atchison with an announcement about Rotary grants.
Thank you, President Barb. And I want to mention another district project. It is the district grants. This is the period of time during the year where the district will be receiving applications for their community grants. It's up to $10,000, and right now we're soliciting ideas basically from club members. If you just send us a 1 to 2 page project description, what the benefit to the community would be, Rotarian involvement, and a brief budget. Don't do anything too much because it then goes to the board, our noon Rotary board, to approve a final project, and then you do a final grant. So just, you know, if you're working on a community project that could use $10,000, this is an opportunity to get Rotary district support for that, and keep our club donations in Iowa City if we can. So either contact Tracy Triddle or myself. In this week's notice of the club meeting, there is the slide that we use, and you can get further contact information for the district or for Tracy or myself if you want to ask us any questions, or even let us know that hey, we're looking at this and we're going to be putting something in. Thanks.
Perfect. Great. Thanks, Chris, and to Tracy for your work on the district grants. It is a great opportunity. As you know, as a Rotarian, part of your regular dues to our club, some of that goes to the district, some of that goes to Rotary International, and those Rotary International dues are actually invested and then come back to the district again 3 years later. So this is our opportunity to kind of utilize money that actually our club has already put forward. So let's do what Chris says, let's keep it in the community, let's come up with some great project ideas. Next, I want to go to Kim Casco. It's my understanding Kim has an announcement. Kim?
Yes. Hi, everyone. The Business Partnership and Iowa City Area Development Group have our joint Innovation and Education Awards coming up at the end of April. This is an annual event to honor exceptional students, teachers, volunteers, business partners around Johnson County that help make our schools so great. And boy, what a special year it is for that. We've got nominations out there now. I'll put the link in the chat. Nominations are due Friday, April 9th. There's about 8 different awards you can nominate folks for. And again, yeah, this past year, we know folks made a lot of various creative and innovative pivots, and we really want to recognize those folks. So please help us by nominating and by spreading the word. The event itself is on Wednesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. at the Englert. It is going to be in person, and we're going to have COVID-19 protocols in place, and no one is at the Englert. They do such a good job around that. So that event is open to the public and a free event. And so also I'll put that in the chat. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Next to Ryan Bell for some news about the Ride to End Polio. Ryan?
Yes, really just a reminder that this is going on. It's super easy to participate. I see some marathon medals hanging behind Jean. You don't need to run an entire marathon to participate in this. You just need to do some sort of exercise between now and April 10th, which seems easy enough. And then also pledge $30, just $30 to the district and the Ride or the End Polio efforts that our district is kind of constantly focusing on until polio is gone and behind us forever. So we're still very close to eradicating polio, so any donations help. And as you guys all know, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation basically triples those dollars. So $30 buys 110 vaccinations, which is awesome. I'll put the address to send checks to in the chat. It's just the committee member, her house. So it's nothing too fancy, but would love for as many of our club members as possible to participate. And then next week, I believe I'll have an update on how much we've raised as a club. So buckle your seatbelts for that. Thank you, Barb.
That's great. Thank you, Ryan. Next, we'll go to Vern Folkman. Vern, do we have any of our recipients with us today?
No, I don't think we do unless I missed them. We have actually 5 different people that stepped up and got a different designation in Paul Harris Fellow, and 1 new person that was a new Paul Harris person. So I'll catch them as they come, but I don't think we have any here today.
Okay, great. Well, we will take care of that at another meeting if we need to. So that is perfect. So before we move on to any other new business, we're going to do a Zoom poll. Okay, so if you're away from your computer, you're going to need to come back to the keyboard. Okay, so I'm going to ask you 2 different questions. So here comes the first one. Regarding the COVID-19 vaccine, have you had 1 shot and you're awaiting the second? Have you had 1 shot and you're done? Have you had both shots and you're done? Are you awaiting your first shot and you have no interest at all in getting a shot? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes. We're getting there, 58%. Answers are good. I'm going to give you just another second or 2. Just make sure you click on what you want. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the polling and I'm going to share the results. So here we are. We have 49% of those that answered have had both shots and are done. That is pretty great. And 26% had 1 or waiting the second. 2% had 1 shot, and we have 2% that have no interest in getting the shot, and then another 21% that are waiting. So, you know, we're making some progress. We're at 49%. Again, I think that for many of us, we're hopeful that we can get to the point where many of us are vaccinated so that we have kind of that herd immunity as they talk about. And so want to encourage people to seriously consider the doing that. Next, okay, let me go to the next one. So this one's going to be just a guess. As more and more people become vaccinated, it is more and more likely that we will be able to meet in person sometime soon. And so my next question is just asking you for your guess. When do you think we will be able to safely meet in person? Kind of love watching all of these come in. We're at about 80%. Wait just another few seconds and see. Okay, I'm going to end polling. I'm going to share those results. So it looks like the majority think, well, 20, not the majority, 29% believe sometime in July, followed by 27% at September or later, and 21% for sometime in June. So, you know, one of the challenges as we run our meetings, and, you know, given that we are in the time of a pandemic, is that we really want to make sure that people are comfortable. So I want to just assure you that, one, the board is looking at how we can potentially do hybrid meetings in the future, so that there would be some type of virtual option as well as an in-person option. In addition, the board is very careful that we want to make sure that when we do meet in person, that the majority of people feel comfortable, but that also that safety protocols are in place. You know, quite possibly that will mean mask wearing, and it will mean more safe distancing. We will probably do an official survey, like a Qualtrics survey, to our members sometime in May or so, just to try to get a feel for where people are. We know that there's a lot more people who are getting the vaccine, so we're trying to just get a handle on that so that eventually we will be able to meet in person. So thanks for participating in the poll. The next part of our meeting is actually one of our favorites. I want to just check. Ryan is, yep, Jesus is here. So it is actually a great pleasure to actually induct a new member today. So thrilled about this. And so our new member is Jesus Garcia, and he will be introduced by Ryan Bell, his sponsor. Ryan?
Computer, yeah.
Yes, thanks, President Barb. It is my honor to introduce Jesus Garcia to our club. I'm going to give a little bit of a bio about his background, and then he'll be riding the goat here in a few months, so we'll learn even more about him. But he was born just across the Mississippi in Elgin, Illinois. He's currently 28, so man, he might be in the running for one of our youngest members. He's the oldest of 4 siblings and moved to Iowa City when he was 5. So he's been here pretty much his whole life, graduated from City High and started in the painting industry when he was in high school. So quite ambitious. And now that's still what he does. He runs his own painting company and just really enjoys transforming homes and creating that sort of wow experience. Really like nothing like a coat of paint can do is just really dramatically change your room in just a couple hours. He's the father of 2 boys, Leo and Esteban, and another baby boy is on the way. His 2 boys and him have fun racing each other like all dads and sons do, and constantly test each other to see who is the fastest. Hopefully you still are winning those races, Jesus, but they'll catch up to you quick. The mother of his children and he likes to go out bowling, going for a walk and enjoying time just when they have a chance, aside from kid activities. And he reached out to us and our club through social media because he just has kind of an urge to give back. And he's been part of this community, like I said, all of his life, and, you know, found Rotary as a good avenue for how he can get more involved in the community, and has asked me 10 times already how he can, you know, use Rotary to give back to others in our community. So I'm really excited to welcome you, Jesus. If you want to say hi real quick, because I'm not seeing you right now, there you are. That would be awesome. And then Barb will formally bring you on.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Jesus Garcia.
It's great to see you, Jesus. And we are thrilled to be able to join you and welcome you to our club, to have you join us. So Jesus, you have been approved for membership in this club because we believe that you are a worthy representative of your vocation. You're interested in the ideals of Rotary and willing to do your share in translating those ideals into action. Rotary is a non-political, non-discriminatory, and non-denominational group. Our impact starts with our members, people who work tirelessly with their clubs to solve some of the most difficult challenges in our communities. Our efforts are supported by Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation, which in turns our donations into grants that fund the work of our members and our partners around the world. When you become a member of the Iowa City Noon Rotary Club, you will be joining 1.2 million Rotarians around the world. Rotary International uses the term JET to describe what we do so well. Join leaders, exchange ideas, take action. So your challenge as a new Rotarian is to get involved, join at least one committee, and bring guests and introduce them to Rotary as well. So I now invite all of our members to join me in welcoming Jesus. Now, Jesus, if we were in person, we would all stand and we would applaud. So I want to encourage everybody, you can use your reactions in Zoom to do the applause or a thumbs up or the celebratory. You can also go into the chat and just provide your good wishes to Jesus as well. So Jesus, we're just really happy that you could be here. Can you just tell me, like, in your time, you've attended a lot of meetings. What stands out to you as to one of those reasons why you want to be a Rotarian?
Well, Barb, one of the reasons that stands out that I've noticed is that you guys are really trying to make a difference in the community. And I really like that. And yeah, it's just an honor to be a part of it. And hopefully I can make a difference as well, too. So
that's great. Those are perfect reasons to be a part of Rotary. And I think, you know, just like Tagba, who joined the club not that long ago, he made that realization that together we can do even more than we can as individuals. So great to have you join us, Jesus, and look forward to someday being able to actually meet you in person. So great.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, welcome. So next, before we move on to some other parts of our meeting, I want to go to Richard Campagna, who is going to provide for us his Rotary moment of gratitude and positivity. Richard?
Okay, thank you very much. Can I be heard properly?
You can.
Okay, great. Very briefly, I would like to thank Barb for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation today, because throughout COVID, and almost the entire period, many people have come to me and said, why do you seem to be a little less depressed and a little less anxious than most of us? What is it that you're doing that seems to be working and providing some degree of optimism? And the best answer I could immediately come up with was that I have and have had since I was 16 years of age a philosophy of life. And I use that philosophy of life. You could really call it an approach to life, because it's more of an approach and a way of doing things and a way of thinking, more so than a formal philosophy. But in any event, I have used it all of my life, integrating these sort of ideas and approaches into everything that has been done, or anything that I do, basically work, career, family, personal, leisure, travel, and the like. And I almost always fall back on this philosophy or approach to life to get some guidance and to mix it up and to get the job done in a consistent, coherent way. And I don't know why, but it is true. I've never felt anything looking like, depression or anxiety. It seems to be a helpful way to conduct one's life, even in difficult times. So my suggestion today is not that anybody, and I will briefly, towards the end of this presentation, just describe what my philosophy is or approach, but I'm not here to suggest that mine is right for everybody or even for many people. It really is a unique thing. I'm simply here to say, if you don't have a philosophy of life or an approach, it might not be a bad idea just to think about it, especially during COVID time. Just see if you have one. And it's not necessarily a political ideology, it's not necessarily a religion, although it can incorporate in part or to a large extent those things, but it's just a sort of a way to look at things. And that is my message. I would argue that probably at most 1% of the population would have my philosophy of life. That's my best effort, my best estimate. I already know 3 Rotarians in our club who share it, so we're probably above 3% or 1% in this group. But that is truly my message. And what I would say is that I was lucky enough in my undergraduate studies, in addition to focusing too early on possible professional activities, I really spent a lot of my time developing this philosophy. So I'm happy to say that I probably had this together when I was 16 or 17 years old. And of course, I've reworked it and put it, together and sort of backtracked a little and moved it forward. But I consider that was a great gift from my university, even more important than whatever professional training I might have received. So with that, I will just add a few more things. My philosophy is what I like to call optimistic spiritual existentialism. And I thought that I was the founder of it, but apparently Google says I'm not. Technically, Jean-Paul Sartre actually founded this, so I'm just a contributor to that. The other thing I would say, and here I would really like to thank Rotary, since my 4 years or so as a member of this noon Rotary Club, I think some of you will remember I sort of jokingly but lovingly indicated that I was trying to mesh existentialism, karaoke, and Rotary. And by Rotary, I mean just basically a service orientation. And I called that Rotaroki, or existential Rotaroki. And that's what I meant by that. It was really sort of incorporating this philosophy or approach to life with a kind of a favorite leisure activity of mine and the service of Rotary. And so that has really kind of been an addition to what I have been doing. And I'm very grateful to this Rotary Club and to Rotary International just for helping me to add the service component to my otherwise individualistic philosophy. With that, I close, and yes.
Great.
Thank you very much all for letting me.
Thank you so much. Well, we know now when we have that big karaoke contest who we're going to. I think we know that now. So, well, we'll get to our program, but I want to go for just a minute or two. We do have our district Governor-elect Alka is here. Alka, would you like to just say a quick hello to everyone?
Absolutely. Thank you, Barb, and congratulations on inducting a new member. Welcome, Jesus. You'll just love, and thank you for all your service about self. You'll enjoy Rotary, and definitely you'll be making a huge contribution and a difference in making our world a better place for humanity. And thank you so much. And thank you so much for the very inspirational thought I'm sorry, I'm not the lightest.
From Ricky.
From
Yeah.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you all to, especially the president-elects and the president nominees who attended our pets. And it was, we got some very positive feedback, and hope you all enjoyed it and are very well prepared for your forthcoming Rotary New Year. And looking forward to having you all present there. And also wanting to request you all to come to the district training assembly this Saturday. We're going to have some wonderful sessions and a very important discussion on the youth protection policy that has been implemented in our district. And PDG Loring Miller will be touching on that and letting us know more about it. So please, please do come. Have a great rest of the week, and thank you all for your service about self. And
Great.
thank
you so much, Alka. Glad to have you here. You're welcome to come back at any point in time.
Thank you so much.
So next, we'll go on to our program. I'm going to turn it over to Rotarian Kate Moreland, who will introduce our speaker today. Kate?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor today to introduce my colleague, Tom Banta, who serves as the Vice President of Strategic Growth for ICAD. Tom's been working at ICAD for about 5 years. A little bit about Tom. He was born and raised in the Mountain West in a state that he says boasts more antelope than people. And he found his way to Iowa with the opportunity to play college baseball. So he graduated to Hawkeye with a degree in economics before embarking on a diverse and winding path of business and relationship development opportunities. Tom's known for climbing the 4,000-foot peaks of Colorado and spreads the gospel of Iowa City area in an effort to attract people and business to our region. From automated vehicles and educational technology to natural and organic foods, Tom takes his work seriously, but rarely himself. He found his way to ICAD after careers at Allsteel, Tippie College of Business, and community placemaking with the Blue Zones Project. Along the way, he's lived in Silicon Valley and Austin, Texas, but proudly calls Iowa City his home. Tom's married with 2 teenage stepsons, 2 dogs, and a cat that keep things interesting outside the office. He volunteers his time as a high school baseball coach here in town. He enjoys golf, cooking, and a good bike ride. It's a pleasure working with Tom, and we've had an interesting year in the world of economic development, so I'm excited to have him share with you some of the strategies, and with that, I will turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, everybody. Some familiar faces on this call, so I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll do my best. I know we're running out of time here, so I apologize. We had a client in or a prospect in the area all morning, so we're transitioning from that. But I had an opportunity to share a version of this presentation earlier this year with the AEM Rotary Group in January, and I think that was the impetus for this. And I'll share at a high level some of the workforce stuff that we have going on kind of locally as well as in the region, and really make it interactive and open for conversation. I found that there were a lot of questions and the interest in just having some dialogue around this. So I'll try and move quickly through these slides, and really I encourage just some conversation. There's a lot of stuff going on in this world that is full of ambiguity and uncertainty, and so workforce has remained a challenge in our region, and I think we're almost back to pre-COVID unemployment numbers, and so it was a challenging year for some. I don't want to discount that. There are people that have struggled and lost jobs, but we do remain a strong workforce economy at this point. But give me a moment, I'll share slides and we'll go from there. Can everybody see this? Okay. For those of you that aren't familiar, I am with Iowa City Area Development Group. As Kate said, we're a 501c6 nonprofit, and we are tasked with kind of leading and setting the stage for a strong and vibrant business community here in Johnson County and the region. So if we talk about some of the priorities for workforce in the region, for those of you that aren't aware, ICR is the regional brand that we migrated to about 3.5–4 years ago. That brand remains, and it was the result of a joint venture between Iowa City Area Development Group and the Economic Alliance, really to focus on external marketing around the areas of business attraction and workforce attraction and retention. And so we've continued on with that work. It continues to evolve in the region, and we've built a number of coalitions. Some of you may be involved in those. Those of you that aren't but would have an interest, I encourage and welcome that. Please reach out to me at some point after this if you would have an interest in joining any of this. But ICR Talent Coalition is one that meets quarterly throughout the region. It is made up of recruiters from predominantly interstate commerce companies, as well as the University of Iowa and some of our larger healthcare operations. And that coalition, inside of that, we also have the Talent Hub, which is a tool that is designed to attract talent from outside the region, professional jobs, kind of $50,000 and above. We hired a digital marketing agency, Sculpt, and put together a campaign over the last 1.5 years that will continue to be refreshed and as we move into this summer, probably relaunched going forward. But the goal of that is to identify individuals that have an interest. Maybe they've had some interaction with our community in the past, and we use a targeted approach to make them aware of job opportunities in the region. They self-select in, we engage them, try to better understand what their interests are, and then we work to make connections with employers in our community. And so we push this list out to our investors every couple weeks and highlight the talent that comes in. This group is anywhere from about 1,000 candidates currently. About 1/3 to 40% of those are inside the ICR region. We made a slight pivot when the pandemic hit to try and address those that did lose their job early on and create a resource for them to be able to engage and kind of redistribute to our workforce. But this is an ongoing resource that we have. And our goal this year is to really try and enhance conversion. And so we have done a good job of creating interest and capturing that interested pool. Our opportunity now lies in how do we convert more of them into physically locating here in the region. And part of that, we also have a wingman program that Kate was part of developing several years ago, and we continue to refine. My guess is there are a few of you on this call that are participants and serve as wing people or wing persons. It's just a way for new people to get into the area and find their tribe. And so the Wingman program is a resource available to companies that recruit people from outside. We get folks connected. There's a short interest survey that they can fill out, match them up with a wingman in the region. We've got this cadre of super connectors that help them get acclimated and find the different things that they want, be it church or social groups or other outings, and get them connected into the region. So a great tool and resource that's available. Another coalition that is alive and well is Inclusive ICR. This focuses on DEI, diversity and inclusion efforts, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As we all know, that is a topic that has been at the top of the list for the last year or so, and it's near and dear to many of us. How do we continue to be a welcoming community? How do we continue to be inclusive and create opportunities for everyone in Johnson County? And it's at the core of the work that we do, and the work that they're doing in this inclusive ICR group is critically important. And we have members of our team are part of that. Again, it's something we encourage you guys to participate in if there's an interest. ICR Future is one that's driven largely by Kate and a lot of her work and working with our school system. So what's our future talent pipeline look like in our K-12 systems? And how do we look to create opportunity and career interest in that space, and let those kids know that even though they grew up here and may have aspirations to see other parts of the world and experience life, that there are quality jobs and opportunities right here in this backyard. And so even if they do decide to leave and pursue college or other interests, we want them to know that there's a place for them here back in the Iowa City area that they can call home and grow a career. Future Ready Iowa is a statewide initiative really designed to upskill our talent pool. How do we move our existing population to a higher degree of either certification, degrees beyond high school, and those areas of interest? We are fortunate that Johnson County has about 63% of our population has some form of degree beyond high school. Far and away the highest throughout the state. Many of the communities throughout Iowa are near the upper 30s, 40%. And I think Future Ready Iowa has a goal of getting statewide numbers to 70% by 2025. So it's a significant endeavor. It's rooted largely in apprenticeships, job shadows, work-based learning projects, creating these opportunities. And so we have opportunities at a local level in healthcare, the trades, and manufacturing to build out registered apprenticeships. And so for those of you on this call that would have an interest in that, the state is providing a lot of different resources to support those. And we'd be happy to get you connected with those and talk through what that could look like and how do we start to build out our apprenticeship capabilities at a local level so that we're continuing to build workforce here and growing the region's workforce. Ultimately, at the end of the day, these businesses and companies, whether they be startups in the region or businesses looking to locate to the area, are first and foremost going to focus on what is your workforce? What are the skill sets that they have? Do they have the requisite skills? And are there enough of them for me to invest in your community and grow my business there? And so it is critically important. Workforce is almost the lead to what traditional business attraction looks like. If you don't have the people to support those industries, it's going to be a very difficult sell to ever have that business attract to your region and grow. And so we need to be mindful of that as we think about how we leverage the resources that we have and what do we want to be where do we want to go going forward as a community? What does our business community want to look like? What are those industry clusters that we want to be focused on? And then do we have programs that we have that are aligned with those and developing the requisite skills, not only for today, but then also the long-term skill development opportunities to support that going forward. Kirkwood, Iowa City in particular is one we've worked with over the last year. They've really stepped up. They've got new leadership there in Mark Butland, who came to us from Austin Community College. He brings a lot of energy. He brings a lot of new ideas, and he's ready to really activate this Kirkwood campus in Iowa City in a very meaningful way. And so he's starting to work through a Skill Up initiative that aligns very closely with healthcare, the trades, and manufacturing as well. And we've started to engage a number of those industry groups to think creatively on how do we develop these talent and skills going forward. I think we're increasingly seeing pressure to explore maybe new ways of doing this, traditional models, 2-year degrees, those types of experiences in many cases may be somewhat overkill for the skill sets that companies need. So how do we think through maybe shortened, condensed certificate type of engagements that also lead to continuing education and maybe shared cost amongst the employer to help support that student maybe while they're working and earning an income and going to school. So there are different ways, and so we're interested in exploring those types of partnerships with companies in the community, leveraging the assets that we have in our community college partners, as well as our university partners and just colleges throughout the region. We have a rich rich set of assets in that space that I think we have a lot of opportunity with if we're willing to take a creative approach to it. We've really also focused a lot on workforce well-being, and early in the pandemic, we really shifted to that and trying to send out tools and resources as work from home. Many companies went from a traditional work environment to work from home overnight. How do you start to manage employee engagement? How do you keep people engaged? How do you help them manage a new world and a new environment? And so we've partnered with the University of Iowa as well, and Aaron Litton has a health and human physiology class that offers weekly Wednesday kind of 25 minutes information sessions, connections to resources. We push this workforce wellbeing newsletter out on a weekly basis as well, and really trying to get people connected to that side of things. The social, emotional health, we hear about those challenges in our schools. It's just as real in our adult populations as well. And so trying to make sure that our employees in the region are maintaining their health and well-being in this new world that we all find ourselves in is critically important. And then the last bucket here is a resource and an initiative that I think is one that is picking up steam throughout the country. It's skillful. It's a skills-based hiring approach. And so moving away from pedigree and credentials to a certain extent to understanding what are those skills, what are those requisite skills that I need to be successful at a particular job. And let me build my job postings around the skills I need and identify the ones that I'm not willing to teach and hire for those as core, but then also figure out what I am willing to teach and what do I have resources for, and use that gap as your onboarding and your development of your people. And so having kind of a systemic approach that moves away from degree inflation and some of those other things. There's a lot of jobs that do not require a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree. Not discounting either of those things, but as we go into a tight labor market, we have to start to think and act differently and get creative. So how do we make sure we get folks skilled up and into these opportunities and then have pathways and pipelines to continue to grow and develop them in their roles and in their organizations? So those are some of the high-level initiatives that we've been working on, both at the Johnson County level as well as the regional level, that we'd like to invite folks into and to participate with. I did not mention Ignite ICR earlier. I apologize. That is really our internship experience. So for those employers that are bringing summer interns in, whether they be from the outside or even internships here locally and hosting them, this is really an organized approach to get them engaged in our community, some social events, meet other interns throughout the area. It's something that our Iowa City Area Business Partnership and the EA had worked on in the past. And I think we're in the process of trying to figure out what it looks like this summer, just not trying to understand what is the internship landscape going to be. But how do we create a positive experience for those folks that may be coming to town for 2 or 3 months so that when they go back to their respective school or organization, they're like, hey, I really enjoyed my time there. That's a place I may look at calling home after I graduate. And so we're really trying to take a pretty broad kind of shotgun-based approach. There are no silver bullets in this work. We have to take a lot of different tactics to this and create space for people to engage in a variety of different ways in order to hopefully provide the options we need for our employers to support and develop the growth of their people, and at the same time be a place that is welcoming and inviting for new people to come in and quickly connect them to career opportunities. We talked about some of these priorities, and I talked a little bit about it in that last slide. But as I have engaged our ICR Talent Coalition in our January meeting through some of the surveys, what are these priorities that our employers are facing right now in the middle of COVID? And I think what you'll see is they're largely the same as they were coming into COVID. It's just that they may look a little differently. I made this comment, I think, at our annual sales meeting, and it's one that I keep top of mind. And I think it's applicable to a lot of us. And it's the statement is really the nature of our work has not changed, but the environment in which we operate has. And so we need to think and act and do things differently in certain instances to respond to those changes in the environments. And so what does a distributed workforce look like longer term? And what are these work from home strategies now a year into this that are going to continue? And what was it that we can take from this last year, year and a half? And it's not to suggest that things are over and we're in the clear, but I think there is light at the end of this tunnel. And I think there are people that are encouraged by it. But there were certainly silver linings that came from this. And so what are those silver linings and how do we incorporate those going forward? And what are the changes that we need to make now? And what opportunities have opened up to grow my workforce maybe in different ways than I had thought? And I think some of those assumptions that we make may or may not be right. And so thinking through the idea of, well, hey, we're a great place. We have a high quality of life. Somebody that has a job, they should be able to want to move here. How do we get them here and market? But which is true. But the other side of that is just because they bring a job here, they also need to know that there's another job of that like type or multiple opportunities in that location they're coming to. Because it doesn't mean they necessarily always want to stay in that career or with that organization. They want to see that they have those opportunities at a local level, even if they are a remote worker. And so how do we start to think through that? How do we start to arm our employers? The other thing that's emerging in this space is we used to sell quality of life. We used to sell all of those there lower cost of living and some of these things that allowed our employers maybe to pay a lower wage than some of these larger metropolitan markets. And I'm afraid that in certain instances and with certain roles, that has been eroded. And so there could be someone living here in Iowa City that works for a Chicago-based company getting a Chicago-based rate. And if you want to hire that person into your organization, you're likely going to have to pay that Chicago-based rate. And many of our companies may or may not be prepared for that. So how do we start to think through those things? I think I was on a call with someone recently. I think Chicago pays on average about 12% higher than the national average. Cedar Rapids is about 5% lower. So you instantly have a 17% delta right there. And Cedar Rapids pays fairly well. Iowa City probably sits even below that. So if we're already at a 20% deficit and, cost of living in Johnson County is comparable to a St. Louis or Chicagoland area in instances. So you start to lose some of those perceived competitive advantages. And so how do we start to think through that? And how do we position ourselves in ways that we can still find the talent we need, be competitive, and understand that we may have new pressures in this recruiting space that was already difficult when we went into it, that coming out of this other side. This is just a shot of Merge in our downtown space. If you've not had an opportunity, we've been in here since June of 17 now, so coming on 4 years. It's been quiet over the last year, so we're hopeful by this summer we can start to bring people back in. But this is a great tool and resource for our community. It's an opportunity for us to house emerging companies and grow them out of our basement and distribute them throughout the region. But it also becomes a great tool and resource to bring in some of these remote workers and distributed workforce and talent and give them a place where they feel like they have that sense of community. They're part of a bigger potentially organization or community itself. And they bring that energy and insight in space. And so we have the Merge space, we have one in Coralville, and we also have kind of a relationship with one in North Liberty as well. So we're creating these pockets in this infrastructure so that hopefully we are well positioned to support some of this remote work opportunity should it present itself. So with that, let me open it up to any questions that you might have. And
Tom, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, with sort of proof out there that people are more inclined to stay in a community that they, just truly feel a part of, is there a way we can position our Rotary Club to embrace some of these new movers into town and, kind of urge them to potentially join our club, but at least check it out and know what's out there as far as social and connection in that way?
I think so. I think part of the challenge for us is do we have visibility to those new people and how do we engage them? I think that the Wingman program is a great way to start to introduce them to those resources. But I think that being more intentional about how we get them connected and how we could work with you to make sure people are aware of some of these traditional kind of social networks that they can get engaged with quickly. And part of the Wingman program, and you guys are better versed than I am, likely as wing people, but you know, it's kind of that easiest 1, 2, 3, right? Sit down, have an initial conversation, make a couple of introductions, and then or take them to a couple of events and make a few introductions. And I think if we could make that standard practice, and with things like Noon Rotary and other Rotarian clubs as part of that welcoming pitch, hopefully we can continue to grow your group and others in the region. Does that make sense? So we'd be more than willing and happy to help and think through how we can do that more intentionally.
I think definitely we'd love to participate in that. I do see Dave Brown has a question. Dave?
Not really a question, but what I hope is a glowing review. About 2 years ago, started down in College Station, and I got a job offer up here. They told me there was a wingman program, so I took advantage, peppered my wingman with questions. When I got here, it was huge. When he helped me get situated. We went out, got to know each other, and the rest is history, but that was Ryan. And Ryan also got me into Rotary, so very much appreciative of that program.
Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Ryan. You know, I think it's a testament to the types of individuals, just like Ryan and the number of others that we have in our community that truly believe in what we are. And you know, you saw a bit of those taglines, and I think those are representative. Here it is real. Here it's real. The good and the bad. We're pretty genuine and we're pretty authentic at the end of the day. And I think people do come to appreciate that. It's not lip service, it's how we show up every day. And I think it resonates with folks. And I'm hopeful that we always joke, you know, we're not going to show up great maybe in the data or on all the maps. We show up well in certain lists, but if you're just looking at us as a piece of data, we're probably not going to stand out. We'll get washed out with 100 other great communities around the country. But beyond that, if you can have a day or a day and a half, or we can get you here for a couple days and an opportunity to interact with this space and experience it firsthand, I've found very few people that have walked out of here disappointed. It typically is the case that they're blown away and they never even expected it. And so like the three individuals that joined us last night for dinner and most of the morning on a tour of sites out of the Omaha area, we've already got a guy asking for realtors numbers. And so we're a long way from landing a deal, but we've certainly made a good first impression. And that's, you know, how do we get more people in here just to take a test drive? The community sells itself to some degree. It's just about creating access and opportunity for them to engage it.
That is perfect. And I couldn't agree more. I think part of it is that Iowa nice. You know, we're very authentic, we're real, and I agree with you. We get people here, they see what we have available, and, you know, hopefully they come on board. So I do want to thank you, Tom, for taking the time today to speak to our club. In honor of your time with us, we will actually make a donation to Rotary International's Polio Plus program in your name. And that donation will be matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and will actually provide 70 vaccines to people around the globe. So we will do that in honor of you spending the time with us today.
Well, thanks, Barb. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity and all the support and everything you guys do. So,
well, I think everybody in our club kind of wants to really commend ICAD, Tom, Kate, all the good work that you're doing. I do want to call attention that Kate has put Tom's contact information in the chat. So if you have an idea, you want to be a wingman, you want to get involved in one of those different programs, please reach out to Tom or Kate. Kate is one of our Rotarians, so you should be able to find her information on Club Runner as well. So I want to thank you for spending the time with us today. And with that, I think that is the end of our business. So we will close our meeting as we always do. You're welcome to unmute your microphones if you like and join us in the 4-way test. of the things that we think,
think,
say, or do?
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it
Will it build goodwill and better
friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Great, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.